Nice. Hello and welcome. My name is Kim. I'm with Volco, and I teach upholstery and furniture restoration from my design studio here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Here you can come and take classes and learn how to do this, or you can pay us to do it for you. This week, I found a hell of a deal on this Eames replica on Facebook Marketplace, scooped it up, and within hours, someone had reached out to me to purchase it and to have it restored. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next few weeks here on live. I'm going to come here every Tuesday between noon and 2 p.m. and show you how to reupholster this Eames chair replica. Now, this is not an Eames chair, though it looks exactly like an Eames chair. It's put together a little bit differently. There's a couple different nuances. I have reupholstered an Eames chair before, and there's not too many differences, but I will point them out as we go so that you can see them. This is actually infinitely easier to reupholster than an Eames chair because the pieces that go inside the bent wood here are wood, and whereas an Eames chair, it's plastic where the leather is sewn to plastic. So it's a little bit more difficult, complicated to reupholster. This is the good old-fashioned rapid staple chair. So I'm really excited to show you guys how easy it is because you can find these all the time. Not as cheap as I found this one, but you can find them. If you can find them for under $500, it's definitely worth paying the cash to get it and restore it and to sell it for like a better price. So today I'm going to show you all the tools and materials you're going to need to get started, and I'm hopefully going to be able to start stripping the wood using acetone to clean it. So we're going to clean it all up, strip it, and then next week we'll come back, pull out all the staples, add the foam and batting, and talk about the material that we're putting on top. So this will be reupholstered in a black leather. The client wanted a nice, soft, supple black leather. This is called Domino. This is really soft, but it's got a good protector on it, so if you have keys or something in your pocket when you sit down, it's not going to damage the leather. So this is a good, sturdy leather that we're going to use on this. So let's go over the different tools that you're going to need to have on hand before you even start it. So I'm just kind of going to work my way through. When I go to set up a project, I try to have everything I need out and ready before I get started. So that's kind of what we've done here. The first thing we're going to need to do is take this thing apart before we start cleaning it. And in order to do that, you're going to need to have the tools that allow you to do that. This chair is only going to require a Phillips head screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver to get the pieces apart. So I have those ready. After we get the pieces apart, we're going to have to clean it. I brought an air tool with me, which is this little pen. And of course, in order to use this, you're also going to need an air compressor and a hose. But this is like just a little air tool. I get these at Harbor Freight. I think they're only a couple bucks. You'll connect it to your hose, and you're going to open it up, and it's going to spray high-pressured air. That's going to get a lot of like the deeply embedded dirt dust out of it before I start wiping it down. Once I blow all the dirt dust off of it, I'm going to clean it with a mild soap and water, and then I'm going to go over it the wood parts with an acetone, which is, we get it by the gallon here at the studio. I'll be using this as well as like a soft towel. This is just a terry cloth towel to clean it. I am not going to put sandpaper on this wood. The wood is actually in really good shape. There's no gouges or scratches in it. It's just filthy and it's unprotected. Like whatever finish was on it has worn off completely, which is an ideal scenario when you're restoring the wood, because if you come at this with very little or no wood experience and you start going to sand it, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to see those scratches, and that is going to decrease the value of your furniture by a lot. So we're going to try to avoid sanding this in any way, and we're just going to scrub off the existing finish with acetone, go back over it with a gel stain, and then put a clear coat poly finish on top and a wax on top of that. So it's going to last for a really, really long time. So we went over screwdrivers, cleaning it, The next thing that we're going to do after everything is clean is start stripping off the old materials. And to do that, you're going to need a staple puller. I have a couple of different staple pullers here. This one is my favorite from C.S. Osborne. This is the more expensive of the two I'm about to show you, but it lasts a really long time. I've had this one for 10 years. We keep rotating these through students every single day, like 7 days a week. Dozens of people use these things. They really, really last. So this is my favorite one. It's ambidextrous, and it's also designed to leverage the tool so that you can get the staple out while taking the impact off of your body. This part is the hardest part of the whole restoration process, removing the staples. If they don't come out easy, you really put a lot of wear and tear on your wrists, on your elbows, on your shoulders, on your chest. So you want to use tools that are going to take the impact off of your body. This tool is the first tool that I found when I Googled how the hell do I remove staples faster. And this is a double rack staple remover. As far as I know, you can only purchase this on Amazon. This is the cheaper of the two tools, but it does go dull quickly. So I tend to only use this when I absolutely have to, if this one isn't doing the trick, or if I'm going up against decorative wood. We're probably going to stick to this one because the wood that the staples go through is a plywood, so the staples tend to come out of that pretty easily. So I don't think I'm going to need any reinforcements. For the staples that don't come out the staple remover, I'm going to need a pair of needle nose pliers, and that's what these are here. I also have a razor blade on hand. This is going to help me remove materials so that I can go back through and try and remove the fabric easier. We'll go over that when we get to it. And of course, you're going to want extra blades on hand. We have that hammer for hammering down any of the pokey staples that stick out that weren't able to be removed. This is just a good thing to have on hand. I also have an apron on hand for when I start cleaning it with acetone, I don't get a mess on my vintage Angel B t-shirt. So I'm going to put that on now before I forget, because I definitely always forget. I also brought some sandwich bags to put the hardware in, and I'm going to take the hardware off of each piece and put it in its own bag and label it for where that goes so that I have a record of where everything goes before I put it back together. And then putting stuff back together, you're going to not just need the leather fabric material, which this chair is going to require a full hide of leather. You're also going to need your foam and batting. So back here is the rest of the material that we're going to need to be able to put this back together. So once it's stripped, once all of the material is off, once everything has been cleaned, we can start building it back up. For the seat in the ottoman, we're going to need a 3-inch foam. That looks like this. We're going to use a medium weight 3-inch foam. This is a mid-grade foam. Most of our clients don't like paying like the added cost of like the high-end materials. This is the most common most upholsterers use, like a mid-grade material. This is still going to last like 50, 60 years. And it's a medium, not density. They're all high density foam, but it's a medium firmness, which actually is fairly firm. When you're checking the firmness of your foam, you want to use the flat part of your hand. It's very common people like go squeeze it like this, but you want to use the flat part of your hand because that's how your butt sits on the foam, and that's going to give you an idea of what it's going to feel like when you sit on it. This is a fairly firm foam. A softer foam, you might squish all the way down and feel the hardwood underneath. So that's why we commonly use a medium firm foam for seats. For the seat backs, the middle part and the top part, we're going to use a 2-inch medium firm foam. And then all of that will be covered with a layer of cotton batting on top of that. And then that batting is going to get covered with a layer of polyester batting, or some people call this Dacron. After those materials are put on, we're going to be able to put the leather on top, and then we're going to add our buttons. So in order to do the buttons, cover your own buttons in that material. You can reuse the buttons and sew it around. We're using leather, which is pretty thick, and it's going to make it look kind of real clunky if I were to do that. So we're going to press our own buttons. So I have the button back, the button shells. If you are doing your own buttons, a button press is going to be ideal. These are $300 or $400 brand new, though. You can find them used, but even the dies, like these dies, are a couple $100 a piece. The cutter itself to cut the fabric is over $100 itself. And then you would need like the silicone blocker. Sometimes you can use a piece of wood to be a softer layer that makes it so the blade doesn't go dull underneath. I keep my button press on a piece of wood that I can clamp down to a table so I can put it away when I'm not using it. This handle is pretty obtrusive, and if it's set too far back, you won't be able to use the button press, and if it's set too far ahead, someone's going to club their head on it. So we keep it so that we can put it away when we're not using it. You're also going to need welt cord. This is 3/8" welt cord. This is standard cord. This is the trim that you see all along the edges of it. Helps it look real nice and fancy. So you're going to need some of that too. And that just gets sewn inside the leather itself. And when we get to the fabric part, we'll go over the measurements, how you can plot everything out, and make sure you conserve material and are able to make this look super nice and fancy. So I think now we are ready to get started taking it apart. I just want to check the comments section. I don't see anything so far. I'm still getting used to this streaming software, so I don't get to see a lot of the comments and stuff. Sometimes Crosby will read them off to me and I'll be able to answer them then. But if you have questions and comments along the way, put them in the chat and I will try to answer them as we go. I can't see them as they're coming through, so I will go back periodically, read through them, and make sure that we answer them. If I don't get to them while we're recording, I will reach out to you with an answer personally, so still go ahead and put it in there. I get a record of the comments that are put in there anyways. So we're going to get started taking this apart. We'll start with the ottoman first. I'm going to bring this to the table. Thing is filthy, but that's literally the only thing that's wrong with it. Couldn't believe how good a condition this is. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. It had been on there a couple of weeks at a higher price, but I managed to talk them down, pay half of it. And that's just, a lot of people sometimes just have these sitting around. You just don't know what to do them after they've been sitting around. This looks like it's been stored outside for quite some time with some spider eggs and stuff going on in here. Let me flip this around and get what's going on the bottom here. So this is just layers of veneer, wood veneer, glued together, and they're usually clamped into a jig that help make this curved shape. It's just layer after layer after layer, but it does make the outside layer vulnerable because it's not very thick, and this is the only like finished layer. Ideally, you would want this to look like it doesn't have any scratches or chips in it, and I don't see any major scratches or chips. Like around these holes here, you can sometimes see chip back. That's from manufacturing. I don't see any like major gouges or anything. So what I want to do is go through and remove the base. These are the screws I have to remove the base. And then these are the screws that I have to remove the seat from the base. So we're going to do all of that. There's a couple of, like this screw is different than the rest of the screws. So you can tell that at some point they had to replace at least one screw. So I've got my Phillips head screwdriver and my flathead. I looked at all of the areas I would have to take apart in advance so I would know. This is the manufacturer's tag. This was made by the Charlton Company. Right around 1957 was when I was able to find about this piece. And we will keep that tag with it, but we're probably going to put it on the inside so that it can be protected, but that's so it's always a part of this piece of furniture. So for the next person who wants to have it stored, they'll have that information. So I'm saving all of the hardware and going to put it in its own bag and label it so that we know exactly where this goes when we go to put it back together. I also encourage you to take lots of pictures and video as you go. I taught myself how to do this through reverse engineering by taking pictures and video as I went and then watching those in reverse when I went to go put them back together. And it was very helpful for me to learn sort of the anatomy of a piece of furniture and the fundamentals of how it needs to go together. So that should be all the ottoman. So these screws go to ottoman legs. And have that, set that aside. This should just lift right up. Here we go. And you can see what the wood looks like underneath there. I promise you, this is just like really dirty. Like this wood looks really, really good. So now I'm going to go through and remove the screws that are holding the cushion on. And I'm using a Phillips head screwdriver, a number 3. A lot of older furniture requires this larger Phillips head for the Phillips head screws. And if you use something smaller, you're going to strip out your screw. Learn that the hard way. So check it, all this, there's sizes of screwdrivers for a reason. You should check and see which one yours requires. And if you're not privy to that information, I'm very lucky to have my husband to let me know when I'm using the wrong size tool. You can look it up and see which sizes go with what. This screw is stripped, so we're probably going to have to replace that. And that should be it. So now I'm going to put these screws in their own baggie. And this is going to be ottoman cushion. And such as with the rest. Now, lucky, this will right out. Lucky us. Look at that. So that just came right up. This is ideal scenario because it's a piece of wood, which means everything just wraps and staples to this piece of wood. This is like doing a dining room chair seat. And if you've ever tried one of those, you can be good at this on your first try on this. I've shown a lot of people. We're not going to bother stripping this down today. We're going to do that in the next class. Our focus is going to be on cleaning the wood parts and getting the existing finish off of that today. So we're going to set this part aside because we're going to clean all the wood parts together. But this is what we're left with the ottoman. And now we can focus on this chair itself. So this has a base underneath too that has to come off. I think maybe I'll remove as many pieces as I can with it sitting up before I go after it with the base. So let me just readjust this camera here. And then I'm going to switch my shot real quick. It needs to come just a little lower so we can see the screws. Like the legs got to be lower. Good. And then we zoomed in a little bit. Overhead bench. Oh, great. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So now you can see all the bits and pieces underneath. Now these screws here, here, and here are all holding on this arm. So we're going to take those off first. These little dots here are buttons. We accidentally broke one of these off earlier, so we know that they're just glued there. So I'm just going to take I barely am even touching these things. You don't want to scratch your wood by prying these off, so use something that's not going to scratch it. But I know if I just knocked it, we're going to come right off. These I will have to find replacements for, but they're just plastic little buttons that were just glued right on the outside. I would like to do something that looks like the leather itself so that these match. These are just dirty. They look like rusty. I don't even think they're wood. They're just plastic. And so now we've exposed all the screws underneath. And that's going to require a Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, got oh, there it is. I know. So I'm going to start removing these screws and then put them in a bag labeled right arm. This is on the right hand side of the chair. These ones connect from the other side. Oh, this screw must actually goes to the seat. So the screw I just removed goes to the seat. Oh. Now I'm curious as to how to get to the arm. Interesting. Well, so looking up here, they connect here. So I'm going to see if that's enough to release the arms. Did you label that bag? Feet? Like a little metal plate under there. And I think that's going to release the arms. Yep, wonderful. That was very scary for me. I was like, oh, I have to pry these off. Don't ever pry it off, you guys. That's never the answer, I promise you. So this is what the arm looks like underneath. And I think we can improve this design because if it's done right, if you create the pattern properly, you won't have a split, like you won't have a pleat right there. And that's just them wrapping it around so that it'll fit. But you can create a pattern that makes this shape so that you don't have that bunching there. And I think that's what I want to work towards. So that's what the arm looks like. Put that aside. Let's keep going. We're going to do the arm on the other side next. We could probably store all of the arm screws in the same bag. That would be okay. This one's for the seat. So we'll put that in the seat bag. There we go. And then get the two screws that are holding in the arms. As far as I can tell, there's no actual damage to the chair itself. The metal frame is in good shape. The vinyl stickers are coming off. The finish is all gone, like there's no clear coat on it anymore. But the wood is not chipped, which is great. It's veneer sensitive. Okay. So the next step is to separate all these bits from each other. So this piece is already removed. We have these screws in a separate bag. Which exposes then these screws which hold this piece on. So when you're refinishing it, you want to take it apart into as many pieces as you can take it apart in so that you can make sure that the finish reaches everywhere it's supposed to go. And this has these little brackets on the back that are holding it up. These are made of wood. On an Eames chair, these are chrome. So that's the difference between that. On an Eames chair, these pieces are also sewn to plastic instead of stapled to wood. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to do as well. So I'm going to unscrew the screws from the headrest. And immediately put those in a baggie labeled headrest. Thank you. Hit the main shot. And then maybe zoom in just a little bit. Grab it with your hand before it falls to the ground and breaks. Now I have this piece completely separated. Screws in a bag that's been labeled. And now I can remove this piece from the back, which looks like the screws have already been removed. So if my brain works right, well, I've got another piece ready to take off. And then we've got these screws holding on this back piece and holding this together. This is actually attached to the metal arm bit that's right here, so we're going to separate that too after we get these pieces off. So this is, what do we call it? This middle backrest. What is it called on an ant's body when it's like segments?
Yes.
Body. Is it called segments?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Label the bracket too.
The brackets. Okay, so this is right bracket. Right on where it's so. Oh, yeah, go ahead. So we're writing on the piece itself, so that we know exactly where that goes. Because sometimes in construction it matters. But we've labeled under where the screws go, so that's not on like a finished part of the wood. When we sand it and stuff, it could come off, but we'll probably leave it there so we know exactly where it goes. These are the screws for that, so we just put everything together. Spin this around. Do the same thing to the other. Once you get this apart, it's really just like a lot of simple parts. Like I can't believe how easy these are to do. Every person I've taught how to do this for the first time got it 100% right. And it looks insane and beautiful. And I've taught a couple people how to do this. And my very first one was an actual Eames chair, and it had the plastic, and it looked great. But if I had to do it all over again, there was a lot I would do differently. Okay, so this bit is connected to the armrests here. So the screws on that are accessed on the front side of that. So that's how I'm going to remove them. I'm just going to remove them from this part first. Roz, do you want to keep these screws in a bag labeled arm brackets? Yeah. This is for the left. And we're labeling these left to right based on our art. Like, this is how I sit in it. This is my left-hand side. You can label it the other way if you want, based on what it's like when you're facing it, which is you know. This is labeled. Now we're not going to use any of the material to create a pattern because this really just requires rectangles cut out that are big enough, and then we cut it into shape afterwards. So we're going to toss everything from this. So we got it off one side, and then take it off the other. And this essentially looks exactly the same as the ottoman. So we're going to label the parts that came off too. Okay. And now we've got this piece off. You can see just how easily everything comes apart. Gentle wherever you set those. You don't want them scratching on anything. Now we can flip this bit over and remove everything from the base. Oh wait, we've got one arm piece left. If you have any questions as we go ahead and put them in the comments. If you're just joining me, my name is Kim, and I teach furniture restoration for a living here at my design studio. You can take classes with me here in the studio, or you can take them over Zoom. All of my Bring Your Own Project classes are hybrid. You can attend them either from Zoom, from your own home, or here in person. But I also have a virtual subscription for $5 a month. We meet on Tuesdays and Sundays. We're meeting for class tonight. If you have a project that you need help with, you can join these classes for $5 a month and ask questions while I work, and I can help you, physically help you with your project as you work. It's a great opportunity to get hands-on support while you're working because that tends to be when you need the help the most. Now this is missing several screws from the bottom, 2 at least. I'm going to remove the last 2 that are in place. And maybe we can switch to the overhead camera and I can just get this closer. Perfect. And can you zoom out on that? I think that's just zoomed in really far. Oh, okay. I guess that is zoomed out as it goes. I think I'm just going to need to get more. That's what that does.
This one.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, great. It's even better. Wonderful. Okay, so I've got a screw up here, and we've got one down here that's got to come out. And then we'll need to find more in order to put it back together because we're missing 2. You can see this base is very dirty. But it can be cleaned, and we're definitely going to oil it up so that the bearings don't rust because it was stored outside. They do make replacement ones of these if you ever have to replace them. You don't even have to get like true to the brand. They have more modern bases, and I would suggest a 5-legged base because 4-legged ones tend to flip very easily. This is the longest screw on the planet. This is to the base. This should just lift up. And good. And now we have this whole part. Now this part of the base, this little shim is a little split, but that's not actually going to cause any problem with the furniture. So we might re-glue this down so it doesn't move anywhere. This just provides some spacing between the screws so that it sets up right. So that's that. The seat, I'm thinking, with those 2 screws that I took out, should just pop right off now. So let's see if we can get that. Vinyl, you get a lot of stickiness too, especially if it's stored outside. So the only thing really holding it in is the stickiness between the vinyl. Awesome. And I see who's there. Oh, that's for the space here. Will not need to come out. The last thing left to do is to just clean this up. So first I want to wipe it down, or I'm going to blow it off with some air, and then I'm going to scrub it down with some mild soap and water. Crap, I forgot the mild soap and water. Okay, so I've got my air tool. I'm just going to go over all of these parts, not the upholstered parts, but the wood parts with the air tool to blow off any dust. I want to get as much dirt and dust off before I start cleaning it as I can so that I'm not just spreading around dirt and dust. I also am going to clean it with acetone, and acetone can sometimes just reconstitute the finish and it would dry all that dirt and dust inside. So I'm going to blow it dry, I'm going to wash it with soap and water, and then I'm going to come back through with acetone and clean it off like that. I just want to blow off anything loose. Off onto my air compressor, because when you use all the air, it has to fill back up. And I'm just going to look at this one. You can walk in, you guys close up in a second. You can really see that there's not a lot of damage. Just some minor like scratches that can all be fixed when you get ready to do things. Excellent. Okay. Looks like it's open. Can someone say so about sound? Probably. Yeah. Someone's got the ladies. Okay. All right, so now we're ready for soap and water. Very important that you do not soak this in anything because the wood can warp and it can go bad. We're not trying to soak it. We're just trying to clean it off. I'm going to use a terry cloth towel because it has some like rough texture to it, so it has some scrubbing capabilities. These are just shop towels you get at the hardware store. I'm cutting it in half because it's my last one, and I also need it for the acetone part. And I'm just dipping it into some soapy water. And I'm just going to wash it like normal. Try and get as much of this like dirt and grime off as I can this way. We want to be real gentle with this wood veneer. We don't want to have to sand it because that can really make it difficult to get a professional look if we're adding scratches to it. There's some the 3M sanding scrubbies. I'm getting a lot of fun smells now that this is wet. And I'm going to go over it. This is like a 3M sanding sponge. This is what it looks like. This does not, like it's got an abrasive surface, but it's not going to scratch this up, although it can scratch it up if you use it aggressively. I like to use it between coats of things because it is gentle enough to bump back all the dust and particles and to buff it out, but it is like aggressive enough to get stuff up if I want to, but not overly aggressive. This is basically gives you like a 220 sand on it. I'm not going to be going really hard, but I do want to, I'm scrubbing with the grain. I'm trying to get any of the grime and stuff out of the grain itself. Now, all of the black stuff that's on here should come off. It might be the acetone that gets it off, but we should be able to get discolorations and stuff out of here. This is walnut veneer, so you won't really have to put a stain on it unless you need to like blend. You can put like a toner on it. Sometimes I use like a gel stain as a toner, and it helps blend the color if there's any discoloration. But this was not stained walnut. This is walnut. And so if we're lucky, we'll only have to use a clear coat to seal it off after we clean it. But gel stain is a really great way to blend those colors, or a toner too. Just want to see the black edges right around the wood may not come completely off, but we were able to get a lot of the discoloration around it off through scrubbing. So I'm probably going to go through this a couple different times for every piece because it's just getting like the first layer of dirt off, and I don't want to just keep rubbing the dirt in. This also had some paint on it, some white paint. It looks like someone painting too close to it, and it just kind of dripped on it. And that's more in this area here. So we want to get all of that kind of stuff off. This time I'm scrubbing it a little bit harder. But I'm not soaking the wood in water. I don't want it to work or become damaged. Just clear. And very important that you're going with the grain on anything that has any kind of abrasion. All right. First initial clean looks good. We got all the paint off of it. The acetone is gonna finish the job for us. So we'll be able to set this aside here in a minute. I'm gonna wipe down the inside, but I'm not going to go after it too aggressively. One, because it's not finished wood, and I don't want it to get damaged. But two, no one sees it either. So I'm putting my focus on the visible parts. Do want this to be clean, so I'm just going to come back through it with a damp cloth and just wipe that down. This is just painted. This like rim edge is just painted. So we'll be going back through and repainting that. I'm probably going to go with black though, however, to match the leather. The original material on this was vinyl. So this is going to be much fancier and more durable than the older material. Okay, the seat is done. Don't forget to label. The seat is done with soap and water. We're going to clean it next time. Don't forget to label it. This looks like the headrest. We'll do that next. First with a terry cloth. This might need a scrubby because you can still see some of the white paint that's been dripped on it. Now I can go back through with my scrubby. Okay. First pass complete. Looking good. We're going to do one more pass so I still can see some paint. Like on this end. Acetone will take off what this guy can't get. Which looks like it's going to have to be a job for acetone. See some discoloration spots down here that are starting to come off with pressure. So I can apply that pressure, making sure I stay with the grain. Come back through, wipe it all off. Clean the inside next. Try and get the paint off the edges here. Wipe that all down. We have 2 more pieces left. Oh, that wasn't this. Is this the? Is that the ottoman base? Okay. This is the seat. At least I know it's marked by this giant thing. Can you hit the overhead or the other button? Perfect. Okay. This is the last big piece. Arguably, just cannot believe how good a shape this wood is. You wouldn't have been able to tell from the pictures because everything looks so dirty. But there's no damage to the wood, like no chips. And the color that you're seeing, that's the natural color of the wood. There's no stain on this. There was only ever once like a top coat, and that's since been worn down. All right, first pass done. I do have some weekend upholstery camps scheduled throughout the year. If you're interested in coming, hanging out with me for a weekend or a 5-day retreat, we just had some spots open up for the next retreat, which is in May. We also have some in June, July, August, September, and October. So if you want to come out here for a whole weekend, I have the fully inclusive camp, which includes a 5-day, 4-night stay here in Ann Arbor, all your meals, all your materials, and it's bring a friend free. Or you could do the light camp, which is just 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, bring 2 friends free, and it still includes your meals and materials. So that's one fun way to come and learn. Plus you get to hang out with me here in the studio. The studio is very cool. It's everything you heard it was. Okay, outside looks good. Let's do this. Basically, that's really careful with any screws sticking out. I'm gonna grip on this sticky. That's what I'm telling you, get it off. Okay, base is done. One last piece. Then we're gonna start going over with some acetone. First with the microfiber. Now these, I don't know if you can see them. You hit the overhead. these little spots here were the only damage to the piece that I saw. Okay. Oof. So I thought, because they look like drips, I thought maybe they would clean off. You can't really feel them. Let's see. This piece probably got the worst of the paint, which is, you can see it down in that corner right there. That's it. It's like the worst spot that got on there. So I'm just going to clean my scrubby. Going with the rain. And try to get out any imperfections before we. You can already see on the pieces that I've already cleaned where the scrubby has removed some of the finish. I'll be able to show you that. When it's wet, you can't see because it's making everything the same color. But the ones that have dried, you can see where it's already removed. Make sure you're putting this on a surface that isn't going to scratch up your wood. This project I anticipate to go very quickly. What time is it? It's 1 o'clock now. We're going to finish cleaning this with acetone and wrap up for the rest of the day. Next week when we come back, we're going to be stripping, and we might even get to foam and batting. I'm hoping we can do this in 3 weeks. I told the client 4 weeks, but I'm hoping 3 weeks that it'll be done. And the only reason why it's taking that long is because I'm doing it here with you guys, so that you can watch the whole process and learn something along the way. Okay, now let's go back to the first piece that we did. And you can see now the discoloration from scrubbing it. And that's okay. We want to try and get everything off that we possibly can. So the next step is to go through and clean this with some acetone. First, we're going to start with terry cloth. And then if we have to, we'll go back through with a scrub. You want to use gloves, but you will be changing them frequently because the acetone will eat through the gloves. Acetone won't hurt your hands per se. It will dry them out. We got a cut or anything that'll sting as well. All right, so I'm just gonna, I poke 2 holes in my acetone so that I can just dump it like this and I don't have to worry about child-proof locks on the lids. Acetone dries real fast, so I gotta work kind of quick. The lid wasn't ever put on that tight. And I'm just going through and wiping it just like I did when I was cleaning it. And this is just gonna remove any residual finish that's on there. Also making it look real shiny. We want it to look less patchy when we go through and do this. I'm gonna just pour this directly on the wood. Stays there longer. Now it is leaving this a little bit sticky on top, which is just like that reconstitution of the finish that it does. So you can keep going until it's not sticky anymore, or you can keep going until it looks like blended, till it looks less splotchy. I'm coming back through with my scrubby. I'm going to do a bit at a time here. Awesome. A little bit more. And I'm staying with the grain so that you can't see any of the abrasion that might happen when you scrub it with a scrubby like this. You can already see, you can't see it in person, but you can on the camera see how far I've cleaned from here over. Okay, no longer sticky, which means I got it all. I'm just going to go back there to the top. This is removing some of that paint finish. That's okay. I'm going to be repainting it. I just wanted to get any of the white blobs of paint off that made its way there from whoever painted near it. Oops, just picked up debris. Very good. Much more even finish. That's all wood grain right there. So I probably will go over this with a toner or gel stain to sort of deepen that color and saturate it a little bit better. I'll do this one. Let's let it dry. This is the ottoman piece. You can see where we scrubbed it. We're going to start with our towel. Make our way over it a little bit at a time. Now, on some pieces, if you dump your acetone on it like that, it's just going to like spread out that finish. There's barely anything resembling a finish left on top of here. So it's not having that effect on this, but could have an effect on yours. So be real careful. And if it does do that, just keep cleaning it with acetone until it all goes away. Because the acetone will dissolve all the finish. It's a little bit safer than using like the chemical strippers out there. It's stinky, but not nearly as stinky, nearly as bad. Gosh, looks so pretty. Okay, now with the scrubby, and you'll see the scrubby itself starts to get a buildup. You don't want to just be rubbing all that buildup back in. I'm going to flip this over, but we might have to get a new scrubby if that buildup builds up too much so that we don't start just rubbing it all back in again. Putting on pretty heavy so that it stays a little bit longer because it evaporates so quickly. I can see it taking all of that flat. I think we just got one more piece to clean after this, and then we're going to wrap it up for the day. See how nice and more even that looks? All right, beautiful. Everything I wanted to come out came out. And I'm seeing this line on the camera. This is a burling in the wood grain. So that's not something that can come out. If you look close, you can see it. It's hard to see on camera. That really cleaned up nice. Let's check the edging. Okay. That's good. All right, one more piece. This one. Yeah, I think it was this one. This was the first one I did. This is the headrest, or the middle back. Towel first. This is also a great way to clean off a finish. You just need something to adhere to it better. You just clean it with acetone, and then we'll make it a little bit more porous and so much easier than sanding. You can do that with denatured alcohol sometimes too if it's a lacquer finish. Denatured alcohol will dissolve a lacquer finish or reconstitute it as well. Now we're going to go back through with a scrubby. His fabric is great on the counter, so he's already paid. Yep, that's it. Last hand. All right, that's it. What's that?
It's a wrong paper.
Oh, if you can get so that has the number on it. If you can get we can try and reorder it. I feel like I was right there with them typing it in, but I could have typed it in wrong. That can happen. Okay. So that's it. Complete. You just go around, clean up the edges. Yeah, good. Awesome. Okay. That is it for today. Let me swing this back around. Let me see. Let me destroy the shit. All right. So that is how you take apart and clean and strip down the wood finish on an Eames chair replica. Next Tuesday, we're going to come back here and we're going to be stripping off the material and putting up foam back. So if you have nothing better to do, you'll learn about upholstery and furniture restoration. Join me here Tuesdays, noon till right around 2. We finished up early today, and we will walk through the next step of the process. We'll see you guys there.